Okay, so I am a freelance makeup artist. I spend my days just trying to help women feel better about who they are and teach them about makeup or talk to them about skincare. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I think my freelance job, I always say, is like 7 jobs wrapped into one, because I teach at the high schools in Guelph and at Ross and College Heights too as well. I have a 10-week cosmetic program. I also work at the Shoppers Drug Mart Aramasa Beauty Boutique part-time, and I do photo shoots with photographers. A little bit of everything. Honestly, I've always done crazy makeup. Like, I can remember in grade 9 going to like Shoppers Drug Mart. My sister worked there for a little bit, and buying like the CoverGirl palettes with like 4 different shades, and I would always do like multicolored eyeshadow in high school. I was always the girl who was known as like the crazy makeup girl. But I never thought about it until I think I was 23 or 24. I had a conversation with my mom. I had spent, I think, over a decade in retail. I was always really good at sales, clothing and whatnot, and I was talking to her, and I really wanted a career change just because I knew I was great at sales, but it just didn't feel fulfilling. I'm that type of person that like I have to be passionate about what I do, not just good at what I do. And she was like, you know, why don't you just go into aesthetics? My mom's been a hairdresser for, I think, over 30, 40 years. I don't know, I probably should count, but she told me to go into aesthetics, and I looked at her just so honestly, and I was like, honestly, Mom, like, the only thing I'd want to do with aesthetics is makeup. And she was like, well, why don't you try that? And I think it was like the next week I signed up for a makeup course, and my parents helped me pay for it because it was quite expensive. And it just started snowballing from there, and it became like, as soon as I started doing it, it was like a light went off. It was like, why wasn't I doing this my whole life? I just don't understand why I didn't think of this right away. It was just the most fulfilling feeling to have. It was a long process, but it wasn't at the same time. I just started doing makeup on my friends, and I started inviting them over, and we would do like these makeshift photo shoots against like, I lived in an apartment with this really beautiful rock wall, and I would do the craziest makeup ever, and we would take their photos. And because I grew up in Guelph, I was really lucky. I had a lot of contacts and friends already who knew I was already good at makeup. I was self-taught that way, and they were all willing to be like, yeah, like, I'll come over for a free photo shoot. They got some fun glamour shots for themselves, and I had a lot of my girlfriends already start booking when they had like nights out, and I mean, I charged like nothing, maybe like $25 to $30 for my first few years, but I was really lucky that way, where I just already had so many contacts through jobs and through growing up in the city that the ball just started rolling. But there was a lot of work that I did for a girlfriend of mine who owned a bridal shop. She was doing wedding shows, so I was really lucky because she had me come in and do the wedding shows with her and do the models' makeup. So right from the get-go, I was doing like 12 models in a 2-hour period of time. So I was kind of just like thrown to the lion's den, and I think it was the best way to learn, because I got really good at what I was doing in a really short period of time, and it was just really saturated, and I didn't realize until like a good decade later that it was one of the best ways to start out, because now I'm really quick at what I do. I'm really thorough in a short period of time, and I work really well under pressure because of how I started. So. Oh my gosh, I don't even think I can think of one, but just be true to who you are, and just be aware that things are constantly going to change. When I first started out with the business, I had that notion that like, I'm going to become the best freelance makeup artist Guelph has, and I mean, like, I've achieved a lot of that, and I'm really proud of that, but what I didn't anticipate was that my career was constantly going to be changing, and it was kind of like, you gotta roll with the punches, and just always be true to what you like. Just believe in yourself and who you are, and if you're giving back to your community and you're doing something good for your community, you really are just doing the best job that you can. So I think my best piece of advice would just be, expect constant change, and believe in yourself that you can overcome it even if you don't feel like you can.
Yeah, and doing good for your community. So why do you like working for the high school? Why do you like working those classes?
When I first started, I never anticipated how absolutely rewarding it would feel. It's one of the most rewarding feelings I've ever gotten. Like, just to have those girls look at me and look up to me, and not just ask me for makeup and skincare advice, but they really truly confide in me. I started with the schools because I was like, great, you know, school boards pay good money, like it's just another little job for my freelance. I'm going to be able to support myself and pay my rent. And then honestly, only a few weeks into the course, I was just realizing that I was genuinely making an impact on these girls, and that meant so much to me because you know, I have anxiety issues, I have PTSD, and it's healing for me to see me make a difference with these boys and girls. I have a lot of men in my class too as well, and just knowing I can give them advice on not just makeup and skincare, but give them advice on life. And because I'm not really a teacher and I'm still kind of young, they listen to me a little bit different than they would listen to teachers or parents. And I mean, I've had students write essays about me at the end of their year and how I've changed their way of thinking, and I really realized that it's the next generation, and if this is the one thing that I can give back and I can really just change one little thing in their mind and help them feel just a little bit better about who they are, they can literally conquer the world. And I want them to really know that by the end of the 10-week course, that they're very malleable at that age, and even though they may be having anxiety issues or issues at home, they have their whole life ahead of them, and I just want them to just take their life by the reins and just go with it, and believe in themselves, and believe in not just how they look, but what they have to offer the world, whether it's being a makeup artist or being a scientist. And I've noticed that I am making a little bit of a difference, and it literally is the best feeling in the world. I wouldn't give it up for anything. Oh my God. Probably 3 months ago. With my anxiety disorder, my comfort zone, I'm usually always in my comfort zone, and that's a whole other battle for me to fight, and I think that's going to take time. But when it comes to my career, about 3 months ago, I had worked, I think, 3 jobs for, 7 years. I served part-time, I worked at the beauty boutique, and I worked my freelance job, and around March I got to the point where I was physically and mentally exhausted. I had very little social life. I wasn't happy. I had a great amount of money coming in. I had a beautiful house. I had a wall of shoes, but I really realized that money wasn't worth not being happy, and I probably took the biggest leap of faith I've ever taken, and I quit serving because that was my main income that was coming in. I mean, it was fast cash. I always knew I had rent. I had a little bit of savings doing it, but I couldn't do it anymore. I mentally could not do it anymore. I had done it for so long, and I was so tired, and I was so unhappy. So I just quit, and I really put all my faith in my ability to do my job and do makeup and pay my rent at the end of the month. But I had also accepted at the exact same time that there was a very good chance that I was going to lose a lot of what I had, a lot of my tangible things that I bought, the beautiful house that I live in, and all the clothes and the shoes. I had really come to the conclusion that there was a good chance I was going to start selling off everything, and I was going to have to move back to a bachelor apartment or even back in with my parents. And I'm 32, and it was really hard for me to accept, but I was so sick and tired of focusing my life around money that I really just wanted to start focusing my life around me and my needs and my career and my happiness. That was literally one of the biggest leaps of faith I have ever taken in my entire life. I'm doing okay. It's 3 months later, I still have a little bit of savings, and I have been making my bill payments, kind of, and I'm really excited to see what the rest of this year brings, because I was really happy to realize that I'm actually making it on my own with just doing makeup, with the 12 hours I get maybe at the beauty boutique and my freelance job and the teachings, and I'm actually just doing makeup and supporting myself for the first time in, I think, over 8 years. It's the best feeling in the world to actually just do what you love and pay your bills by doing it. It's so amazing. Yeah, I learned that a year ago. I definitely am that woman that, like, if I will do it. Like, if I need to do it, I will do it. Come hell or high water, I will get it done. It may not be done right, whether it's putting up a towel rack or, you know, paying my bills or carrying groceries in. Like, I've always, definitely for the last decade, I've done everything on my own. It's exhausting. And it was really awful at times because I really did feel truly alone. And about a year ago, I really started to go through some mental anguish in my personal life. I had lost somebody really close to me. My social life and my personal life was just kind of in turmoil, and it was just a domino effect. I had kind of really lost it mentally, but I had kept my career going and kept my best foot forward with my clients. And, you know, a lot of the outside world thought everything was fine. And I got to the point where I really just broke down with my parents and my closest friends, and I had to learn to start asking for help. And it wasn't even just help with money. It was, I needed the support. I needed for them to know that, like, I wasn't okay and I was super unhappy, and like, I was so tired of just like making everybody think that I was okay. And then it was like, it was the most freeing thing ever for the closest people to me to know that, yeah, I'm a badass person, but I'm not always okay, and I'm not always perfect, and I'm not always strong. But it was so awesome to see their reactions. My parents, you know, I mean, I never doubted them for a second. They're the most amazing parents in the world. I am so blessed to have them. They would help me with rent or with bills, and I know that if I ever needed that, I could fall back on them. And not a lot of people have that. So I thank God every day I do. But it was the reaction from my closest friends that I was really shocked about, because I was always so doubtful. I always thought that they were around me because I was always this funny, amazing, strong-willed woman, you know. And when I wasn't that anymore, when I really was beat down from life and from my career and from just everything it was throwing at me, because, you know, when it rains, it pours, I was scared that they wouldn't be there at the end of the day, when really all I wanted to do was just cry and tell them how awful and lonely I felt, and how much I felt like a failure because my business was changing and I didn't have control over it. But it was just the most amazing thing. I had friends who were messaging me every day after they found out that I just wasn't okay. I had friends offering to help me with bills when I would obviously never take the help from them that way. But I learned that asking for help is 100% okay. And if you have the right people in your life, they may not be able to help you with money, but the support that you get back from them is so empowering. And it was one of the main things, having my family and my friends there for me, just emotionally and mentally, that really helped me get back up on my feet and start enjoying life again. And yeah, I really learned that I can still be independent, and I can still be fierce, and I can still be amazing, and at the end of the day still ask for help with something. And I wouldn't take that back for anything in the world. And if you have friends that aren't willing to help you emotionally or mentally, not financially, but they just are not worth your time in the least. And I hope I teach my students that, and I hope my family and friends know how utterly grateful I am that I have them in my life, because I literally would not have gotten through this last year if it wasn't for them. Oh, 100% my anxiety disorder. 100%. I'm a functioning agoraphobic. I am on my way to working towards being able to do more with my life, so I can't really travel outside of Guelph without having a panic attack. And it has limited me and my career in so many areas of my life. It is one of the most frustrating things ever. It's also really helped me learn how to give back to my community, though, because if I were able to travel easily, I would be in Vancouver, I would be in LA, I would be traveling to Toronto on a daily basis to do makeup. But because of my anxiety disorder, it's forced me to make a career in Guelph. And I'm so grateful for that, because I'm absolutely in love with this city. It's just, it supports local entrepreneurs. it's just the most beautiful city ever. The people are so friendly, and because of my anxiety disorder and because it's limited me in so many ways, I've had to really build a career in this city and this city alone. And although it's a curse, it's also a blessing. So that is most definitely my most limiting factor in my career, in my social life, in my personal life. And I hate it, but I work with it, because in life you literally have to make lemonade out of lemons. And I have really awful days where I feel so trapped and like I'm in a box, and there are days where I will cry to family and friends just because I can't go away with them to a simple cottage weekend, or you know, like I can't go to a cousin's wedding in Toronto. There are a lot of things that I miss out on, and it's very frustrating, but it's made me who I am today, so I still wouldn't take that back. And I still have so much of my life to work on it. Like, I'm only 32, and a lot of the changes that I've been making in the last year have been so that I can eventually overcome it. It is my biggest battle I will be facing, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to do the best that I can. And I'm hoping that one day I'm able to say that it's not a limiting factor anymore. But yeah, that's the most limiting thing in my life. That is a really hard question. I think in my career I haven't been very vulnerable at all, or haven't come across as very vulnerable. However, I think I conduct myself in a fairly different way than maybe, I don't know, some people, maybe most entrepreneurs conduct themselves in this way. I really, at the end of the day, just want to help people. And if that means that my client sees me vulnerable and sees me being genuine, especially when I'm helping clients one-on-one, and I tend to actually show them my vulnerabilities. I will open up about a lot of my insecurities, and just the other day I was helping a lady at the beauty boutique, and she came in and she was talking about how she was really insecure about her breasts, and she wanted to know if there was a product that helped with tightening around the area. And right away I started telling her about my drastic weight loss about a year ago, and how it is a huge area of insecurity for me, and immediately her walls went down. And I found that by me being vulnerable with my clients and with the people that I talk to, even with my students, I explain to them right away that I have this anxiety disorder and it's my area of vulnerability, and like I tell them the signs of when I'm having a panic attack so that they know, you know, they're just aware of the situation. I found that vulnerability has helped them, their walls come down, and it's made me more successful. It's made it easier for them to talk to me and to open up to me. I don't know if a lot of entrepreneurs have that, like, if they're allowed to be vulnerable. I think entrepreneurs are actually looked at as being some of the most confident, strong people, and I understand if they have that pressure where they cannot show that vulnerability, but I'm lucky that my vulnerability helps me with my job. So I can't answer that for entrepreneurs, but I can answer for myself. It is one of the best things that I can give my clients, is my own vulnerability, because it helps them really open up and creates a dialogue between the two of us.